What's up, YouTubers? Oh, do we have a special one today? I'll go ahead and get the sheath out of the way. This has an ulti clip, which basically, if you take a look from the side, pops on. You put your jeans and or shorts, this is more defined in shorts, you put that over your shorts, you clip it down, and then it actually just sits right inside your pocket, as the front side montage showed. So the sheath is really good. We'll go ahead and move that out of the way for now. Today we're going to talk about the Creely blades of Mako. Yes, named after a shark-looking thing. Personally, I think it looks a little bit more like a hummingbird if you kind of look at the shape of it and you got that big belly there. But I have no problem with the name of it, because I tell you, the thing cuts and bites like a shark. This was designed by Gary Creely himself of Creely Blades, who does a lot of wild things and really pushes some of the limits of hardnesses and steels, and tries out, some kind of exotic steels, Rex 121 and the like. This was part of an order from September 2021, and this was just received at the front side of, I want to say about September or the very last week of November. Again, this particular one has G10 with the Arctic camo, and it does have a lanyard that comes on it, kind of matching. That becomes actually essential for when you're pulling that out of the sheath, because if you take a look at this handle here, that thing actually will go ahead and show it up against the sheath. If you didn't have that, it kind of, you have a little slippery thing there. So the way to really get this thing out, wrap the pinky around there and then pull it out. And so that's kind of an essential thing. I'm probably going to end up changing this out and creating a full-size diamond knot, so I actually get a little bit more, because that almost slips through my hands there. But I do appreciate that, because like I said, it was kind of essential on this one. We haven't gotten into this, we're just started talking about it. So let's talk about this blade a little bit. This blade has a 2.9 inch of CPM MAGNACUT steel, about 2.5 inches of usable blade there. You notice the finger choil kind of cuts up there, plus you lose a little bit on the plunge there as well. Acts as a very good guard though. The CPM MAGNACUT is fantastic on this one, I'll tell you. And we'll jump into that in just a second. It weighed in at 3.3 ounces for just the blade, or with the sheath 5.5 ounces. So that sheath is only 2.2 ounces. I mean, these combined are like less than, a Hinder knives full tie or whatever, or in that range. So yeah, actually quite a bit less. So this actually is a very good carry. You can use it for EDC. My use case for this review was 3 days of carving with 7 people over Labor Day weekend. We carved pallet wood, cedar wood. I'll show an example of cedar. So cedar is a pretty hard wood, kind of a beautiful red. We did a lot of carving on cedar, pallet wood, and then some pinyon pine as well. It was all sorts of dirty wood. All the blades that we were using got chipped up. This one actually only suffered 1 chip, and this one probably had the most carving time as we passed these around to the group. So I can tell you out of the gate, this MAGNACUT, I'm now a believer. This is kind of my first heavy use, so to speak, or consistent use for hours and hours. I mean, these literally, we did like 3 days in a row of an hour each. Actually, probably more like 2 hours. You don't really know after you drink X number of beers, but it was a long time. I'll just say that. Like I said, the fact that every other knife that we did use for the weekend, I'll bring some of those others out. The LT Wright Bushcrafter, picked up lots of use. You can see that. That actually took up very few chips, took on very few chips as well. The Falkneven F1, this is the one in the Lamb VG Wolf, and that one only took on a couple chips, and the one that did the worst, I was actually quite surprised, of the group, was the Bark River Bravo 1 in 3V steel. That one is chipped so bad that I am going to have to do actually kind of a full resharpen on that thing. I tried just to strop it up. I was able to strop these others all up. You know, I didn't work through the chip. I did actually work through the sharpening on the Mako, but yeah, Bark River didn't fare so well. In terms of kind of some alternative knives that you might consider in this kind of size range is the Bark River Essential 2. That's kind of one of the small little fixed blades. I think it is now a discontinued knife, but I got this one on the used market for $150. So, you know, $269 for this one. I think I might have forgot to mention that. It was $269. This is part of the Super Steel, whatever you call it, Super Stainless Kickstarter from, like I said, sometime in 2021. But this Essential is CPM 1 or CPM 154, and this one got it used for $150. And then you could, on the low budget end, you could go for a really small one of the More Neve Eldris, and that one's like $30. So this one I think they just say is just high carbon. No, this one's actually in stainless, but it's going to be tough. We know it's a Mora. It's, you know, so that might be a range, obviously quite a range there of options for this one. Let's jump into this one. The pros on this knife, pretty much everything. Honestly, we're going to go from kind of tip to tail on this one. The blade is fantastic. Thin blade stock, beautiful grinds. It has kind of this stone-washed flats there. And I got to tell you, this blade cuts and cuts and cuts, and it just doesn't go dull. Even when I picked up a chip, it just keeps cutting and cutting and cutting. We were all impressed with this one the most at the end, you know, when all was said and done. And the sorts of things that we did actually carve were these were two sets of chopsticks that I carved. This top one here is cedar, and then this bottom one is pallet wood. Again, you're going to have lots of little pieces of you know, dirt and dust, and to some degree even little pebbles in there. Just kept going and going, and just never stopped on that one. So on the blade, fantastic, thin, sharp. This thing was so sharp, you definitely got to be careful out of the gate. The spine of this one, it's nice and soft for carving and stuff like that on this front half. But if you take a look, let's see if I can get that on camera there. Maybe not so much. It goes soft, or I should say smooth, and then this last about inch to 3/4 makes for great fire steel sparking. So, and I got that on the front side montage. I was like, that's kind of, oh yeah, perfect. This knife does just about everything in terms of the blade goes. And it was, as far as the sharpening, this is the first time I'd really had a chance to sharpen a decent amount to fully get that chip out of the MAGNACUT. Fantastic. I will say that this sharpens to me about as easy as S35VN, and I was very impressed. Got through it fairly quick, and of course with that super thin edge. I mean, if you take a look at that thing, this thing is definitely a laser. A laser. Just absolutely loved it. So everything about this blade, full tang all the way through, these G10 scales, nothing wrong to be said about it, literally. Let's jump to the handle. This, like I said, to me it looks a little bit less like a shark, a little bit more like a hummingbird, but it kind of completes that look for me. And it, you know, if you kind of look at the ratios, it's really, really good here. I thought it was going to be too small for my medium-large hands. Nope. Especially that bulbous area right there. And I'm going to call that the bulb. That, and then this is just kind of trailing, but you can get all 4 fingers right there on this thing, and very comfortable. I won't say surprisingly, but well, I guess a little bit surprisingly, because you can carve for hours and hours and don't get tired. So that was a great thing. And then the lanyard loop, as I made mention, and having that already in there really does help pull that out of the sheath. So like I said, maybe a full size a diamond knot I'll probably put on the end of that thing, just to make it so that it's a little bit much more assured and my hand won't slip over that thing. But yeah, and then talking about the sheath, 2.2 ounces? Are you kidding me? This is, it just surprises me. So much material, very thick. The sheath is really very good. You know, that's honestly, I was like, there's nothing wrong to be said about of this. I mean, everything is about the pros. On the cons, I'm not going to even really say that there are cons with it. You know, you could maybe argue that the price, that there may be some other price alternatives that you can get, you know, and get something like this knife out of there. But I really, I've used a lot of fixed blades. I've used a lot of folder blades, and this is about as good as you're going to get for a do everything sort of knife. I mean, you saw I cut a whole cantaloupe or a honeydew melon there, and it just did fine. You know, of course, it just maybe shorter blade. But yeah, I would say again, not a con necessarily, but the retention of this. I'm just going to angle it a little bit. Retention on the sheath. How kind of funny. It's tougher to do, but the retention on the sheath basically it does not lend itself well to doing cartwheels, because it came out one time when I was working underneath the car. I just kind of, you know, tried it out in my pocket, bending around in different positions, and yeah, it can kind of just wiggle its way out. It's not super hard retention, but it's leather, and like it doesn't have any sort of snap over. It's designed for EDC in your top pocket, so not a huge deal. And then the last one, you're gonna laugh, but I won't call it a con, but you just got to be extremely careful. This blade is so damn sharp, and even after I sharpened it too, I definitely cut the leather accidentally a few times just trying to put it away. You know, you're kind of putting it away, I won't say blind, but in your pocket. I actually severed some of the you might be able to see it in there, but I actually severed some of the backside stitching here that goes through there to hold this ulti clip on. So we'll see over time if that causes any of this to come loose. But it was really, I won't say it's careless. It's just so sharp that it just catches on anything and just wants to cut. It literally wants to cut it. It's that crazy. So overall, obviously, I'm gushing about this thing. I have nothing bad to say. Maybe you could find some, you know, price alternatives, but to get this, you know, stainless steel MAGNACUT, and you know, again, when I ordered this, it was just post blade show, and you know, MAGNACUT was all the rage, so there was a big shortage of it. It caused some delays, but I think these are running maybe six or so months back. You can order it. He also runs some Kickstarters as well. With some other steels. Actually, I even saw one of these at Knife Center in Crewwear for $240. So, yeah, the Creely Blades Mako, wow, probably the best EDC fixed blade. I'd be surprised to find another one. When you're talking about basically beating the pants off of a bark river, that's some pretty high praise. And I think that this one, you know, for me, just overall. Yeah, fantastic. So, there I go, Mr. Fantastic. So, hope this was useful, if not entertaining, and have yourself a great day. If you did find it useful, like and subscribe, appreciate it, and take care.